republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Barton.
Present.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Franzen.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
And Mayor Yates. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Mr. Yates.
Told you. I'm here.
Okay, we'll do the sunshine notice. This meeting is called pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of January the 2nd, 2018 was sent to the Central Record, Burlington County Times and Courier Post on December the 5th, 2017. Posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall and has remained continuously posted as required notices under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the clerk. Okay, I'd like to announce that we have to the right of me, we have Terry Henry, your Chief Financial Officer. To the right of him, we have Douglas Kramer, the Township Administrator. In the back, we have our Tax Collector, Kimberly Smith, Deputy Clerk, Natalie Lewis. See the other employees that are in here I'd like to recognize. Okay, thank you all for coming out today. We're going to have a lot on this agenda, so we're going to do our best to try to move along pretty fast. The oath of office for Kimberly Brown was actually administered on New Year's Day, so we're going to not have to do that. It was given to her by Southampton Township Mayor on January 1st. So congratulations, and I do have your oath of office. Thank you. We are going to go ahead and move down to nominations of mayor, okay?
I'd like to nominate Joe Barton.
Second.
Nominations closed. Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, we have nominations for deputy mayor.
I'd like to nominate Stephen Lee.
Second.
Nominations closed. Roll call. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
And Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Thank you.
Doesn't Mr. Barton get the vote?
Okay.
Yes.
Mayor Barton. We gotta swear him in first. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead into the oath of office to mayor. The oath of office is actually going to be administered by Committeeman Stephen Lee. Jesse?
Who do you have with you tonight?
Jesse.
If you could raise your right hand for me. Push your left hand on. I, Joseph Barton, do solemnly swear
I, Joseph Barton, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and the governments established in the United States
and the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of mayor
all the duties of the office of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now we have the oath of office for the deputy mayor. Deputy mayor will be sworn in by Deputy Clerk Natalie Lewis.
I, Stephen B. Lee IV,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
to this, and the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and the governments established in the United States and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I willingly,
and I willingly,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties of the office of the Deputy Mayor,
and justly perform all the duties of the office of the Deputy Mayor of the Taxco Tabernacle,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Nope, I'm good down here. You can jump out if I want.
Mayor, I'm going to turn the gavel over to you. Ms. Brown and Kurt, and Lee Brett, congratulations on your
Okay, the first order of business, I would like to recognize Kim Brown. Kim Brown is serving today her 19th year as a committee person in Tabernacle Township. Kim was sworn in on New Year's Day by her father, the mayor of Southampton, with her family around her. And Kim, while we couldn't be here, I can't think of a more fitting place for you to be sworn in, and it must have been a proud day for you. So thank you for your 18 years of service. I look forward to working with you this year.
Thank you.
And also, I want to thank the other fellow committee members, Deputy Mayor Lee, Mayor Meredith Franson, Mayor Meredith Yates, for their support, along with Mayor Meredith Brown. So as you can see, we were all mayor at one time. So all you got to do is add Meredith to the end, and you got it right. But I thank you for your vote of confidence. I did promise a certain person here tonight that we would expedite things and get out as fast as we could so that she could get home with her loved one. So I'm going to forego any major speeches and just get right into the order of business. And the first motion, we got a whole bunch of motions we're going to be going through, Sean, is a motion to adopt Resolution 2018-1, which is the committee bylaws.
So moved.
Second.
Did you hear who made those?
Yes, Lee and Brown.
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes.
Thank
Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-2, temporary appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
you. Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt Resolutions 2018-3, appointment of the township attorney and award of contract for professional services.
I'd like to nominate Pete Lang.
Second.
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you for, again, the opportunity to serve. It's my humble pleasure. Thank you. Look forward to working with you, Mayor. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-4, appointment of the official newspaper.
So moved. Second.
And that would be the Central Record, Bergen County Times, and the Courier Post. Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-5, adopt meeting dates and sunshine notice.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-6, establish a rate of interest for delinquent taxes.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-7, investments of funds.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-8, depository of funds.
So moved.
Second.
That would be Investors Bank. Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-9, authorization to adopt a cash management plan.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-10, appointment of township engineer and award of contract for professional services.
I'd like to nominate Dante Guzzi Engineering from Medford, New Jersey.
Second.
Roll call.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-11, appoint township auditor and award of contract for professional services.
So moved for Kevin Frenier of Kevin Frenier of Holman Frenier and Allison.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-12, assessor appeals.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-13, appointment of environmental consultant and award of contract for professional services.
I'd like to nominate Stewart Environmental Services.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-14, appoint municipal court prosecutor, award of contract for professional services.
I'd like to nominate Christopher Katsouris.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-14A, appoint first alternate municipal court prosecutor.
Do we have a name for that yet, or?
Actually, the way the resolution is read, it is any qualified prosecutor in the county of Burlington.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Motion to adopt resolution 2018-15, appointment of municipal court public defender and award of contract for professional services.
Mayor Barton, I'd like to move to table this motion, please.
Second.
All in favor? Do we need a roll call for that?
I like one.
Roll call. Before we do the roll call, our prosecutor has been appointed as a Superior Court judge. And so what we'll do is we'll go back out for a request for proposal, right, LaShawn, for professional services.
Okay.
It'll be re-advertised, and anyone that's interested in being a public defender will have a chance to bid that position. And hopefully we'll get that awarded at the January 22nd meeting.
So that's the right one to advertise?
Public defender. Yes. I stand corrected. Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee? Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-16, appointment of animal control services.
So moved. Second.
Okay, that's New Jersey Animal Control LLC. Roll call.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-17, appoint deer carcass removal services.
Make the motion.
Second.
Okay, that's for Kelly Winthrop LLC.
I just find it interesting that you're doing this all the way from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
Been doing it for years that way.
Yes.
Roll call.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-18, appoint JIF Risk Management Consultant and approve agreement.
I'd like to nominate Brian Monahan of Kansas TC Irons.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-19, appoint fund commissioners and alternate fund commissioners.
I'd like to nominate Doug Crandall and Sean Barber for that.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-20, appoint municipal alliance chairperson and members of the Tabernacle Municipal Alliance Committee.
I'd like to nominate Alec Rupert.
Second.
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-21, appoint public agency compliance officer.
I'll motion to approve Douglas Kramer.
Second.
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-22, appoint site plan engineer and award for contract for professional services.
I'd like to nominate Dante Guzzi Engineering.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-23, appoint architect of record and award of contract for professional services.
I can do it.
I'll make the motion. Reagan, Young, England, and Ontario.
Second.
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Abstain?
Thank you. Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes, motion to adopt resolution 2018-24, appoint bond counsel and award a contract for professional services.
I'd like to nominate Parker McKay.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Abstain?
Thank you. Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-25, appoint class 3 member to the land development board. This will be someone from the committee.
I'll make the appointment, Mayor.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What I meant to, okay.
Be careful.
If none of my fellow committee members have interest, I will appoint myself.
It is a governing body appointment, so certainly under the statute, it's a member of the governing body, but it's the body as a whole makes the appointment under the statute in our form of government. Oftentimes, there are individual members of the governing body that are empowered to make such appointments. In our form of government, everything that you do is a collective decision. So certainly as a mayor, I'm sure they'll take into consideration your preferences, but it is a decision by the body.
Well, I heard him nominate himself, so I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
I have another nomination.
You have another nomination?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Stephen Lee.
There's a committee member and the mayor.
It's the mayor or mayor's designee,
Right.
That's for class 1.
and that's class 1.
We changed it.
So I just want to make sure we have our classes straight. The class 1 is the mayor or mayor's designee, according to my recollection. So, you know, that Joe could take that, okay? The class 3 would be a member of the governing body, not the mayor or the mayor's
Right,
designee.
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could be
There's the
mayor.
mayor's designee that Joe could fill if Joe wanted to be.
Sure, yeah. So
That was my point.
I didn't actually hear you at all, Ms. Brown, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I'm just saying that's what my point was, that there is a mayor's position on the
Correct, there is.
LCD.
That's the class 1.
Exactly.
But the class 3 could be any of the 5 of us, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Deputy Mayor, you're interested in serving on Land Development Board?
I am, but I will not be attending the reorganization tomorrow because I have a conflict of interest.
Okay, then
But
I'll make the
but I'm
motion
willing to
for,
serve.
I'll make the motion for Deputy Mayor Lee as the Class 3 member.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor, I thought Rick made the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'll second it. Did you make it, Rick? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You got that, Ms. Shawn?
Okay, so we're seconded by Bart.
No,
I thought
it's,
we were-
it's seconded by Paul.
Okay, roll call.
Steve.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Brown?
So we're voting on Stephen to be the class 3, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Absolutely. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-26, appoint member of Highlands Municipal Council.
I'd like the motion for Rick Franzen.
I'll second.
Mr. Franzen, you accept that?
Were you interested in going, Joe, to
Yes.
see this hold out?
It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, you could go. That's
Okay.
fine,
You can be the designated,
Yeah.
but you can be the designated appointment, and then Joe can go to the meeting.
yeah. Sure,
Okay, why don't we do that? Is that okay with you, Rick?
yeah.
Okay, so the designated one is Rick.
Yep.
Kim made the motion.
Lee seconded.
Lee seconded.
Roll call.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-27, appoint members to Finance CERC.
I got to abstain from that.
And in the resolution, we have 72 names.
Oh, well, okay.
I believe there's 72 there.
Have we done appointment to the Collins, didn't we just do this a few weeks ago? Appointment to the Collins, sir? I thought we did this about September.
This is for the year of 2018.
This is for the membership for 2018. Is that
Okay.
correct?
What was the one we did back in September?
That was because we'd never done it, and because of what happened outside of the township, we decided it was time to appoint these people formally,
Gotcha.
and it was for that the remainder of the year.
Got it.
This starts the cycle.
So this is the same thing. So I was right.
That was Colonel Lowe for the record. Thank you.
Thanks, LaShawn.
Yes.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, we have to do this for insurance reasons?
That's correct. This is Colonel O for the record.
Thank you.
That's correct. One of the things that happened last year was one of the townships had not appointed them. One of their members was hurt, and the township decided they wouldn't cover the person for insurance purposes. So each of the townships that have members that are the Pinelands CERT, that would be Medford, Tabernacle, Chemung, and Bass River, have all appointed the people that they're responsible for. Just exactly the same thing, same ordinance, the whole bit.
And the resolution
I made a motion.
references the list by reference, includes it by reference. Yeah,
I don't
Have
have
a
a motion.
motion yet?
I made the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have this second?
I thought we did. I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion on it? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Abstain?
Thank you. Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt Resolution 2018-28, reorganizing membership of Tabernacle Fire Company Number 1.
So moved.
Second, but I have a question. On here, it states 1 year, but the year ends December 31st, 2019, so that would actually be 2 years.
Oh, is that all the resolution to say 19?
It says 19.
It should be 18
Should be
December
annually.
annually.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't,
Thank you for correcting it on the record. I appreciate I'll make that change.
that it's either a 2-year or a 1-year. I just wanted to make sure.
This resolution, we don't even need to do. This is already covered in the contract with Tabernacle Fire Company. This is, we received the roster, which we can make a record of. But in terms of item number 1 and item number 2, these items are already covered in the contract, in addition to the roster, actually.
We have an ordinance also that recognizes them, right?
I don't know we have an ordinance that recognizes them, I don't remember, but I do know we have a contract. So I'm not sure that we even need this resolution.
This is a recommendation from JIF to make sure that all organizations that are covered under insurance are annually appointed by the governing body.
So it's probably a recommendation by the JIF to cover that, and they're not making a determination as to whether each individual municipality has an ordinance recognizing them. If they did, it would be superfluous in any event. If you adopted it, accomplishes the same objective. So, Mr. Monahan is with us. I'm sure that this is being done as a fail-safe across the board. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
So which is supersede the contract or the resolution?
It'll be one and the same. The contract, this just appoints them, recognizes them as the official firefighting entity, as does your ordinance. So it basically does the same thing as the ordinance. We could go back to the JIF and say we already have an ordinance, but it's probably easier for them to check that box if we ask, since we've been asked that we pass that resolution as well. So it's redundant, but it does the same thing.
So how would things work if we change fire company?
Do the same thing, you would have to change the ordinance, which you already have, and get a new contract.
You do another resolution?
Yeah, do a separate.
The ordinance would supersede the resolution at that point. So any subsequent ordinance would supersede the resolution.
This is strictly for the JIF, right? Any further discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-28 recognizing, hopefully we just did that one, I'm sorry. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-29 annual appointments. And we have a whole list of our annual appointments here, which I will not read.
So is moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
I'm going to say yes in a second. I just wanted to clarify the municipal council slots vacant. We had that filled with Rick Franzen. But I just want to ensure that Mr. Franzen had indicated that he was inviting Mayor Barton to go to the meetings. I just want to make sure that, for the record, that Mayor Barton may indeed be representing the municipality of the Pinelands Municipal Council.
Okay.
Although Mayor Maris Franzen is the listed agent, we very well may see Mayor Barton at the meeting, and will have the full authority to activate that contention.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-30 extending tax quarter payment grace period.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adopt resolution 2018-31 recognizing membership at Tabernacle Rescue Squad.
Again, same, I'll make the motion and make the same comment. 2019.
18, thank you.
I'm going to raise the same question I did with the fire company. This is probably a little bit more of a question because we've already, we don't have a contract with the rescue squad. And it took an awful long time to get a copy of the roster. It took an awful lot of legal bills to get to this roster, which we have received at this point. But I'm not sure that we ought to do a resolution at this point until we get a contract completed and we finish the RFP process that we began in 2017.
Well, yeah, what they're doing here is, as you can see on the back of each, the resolution with respect to the fire company, with respect to the emergency squad, authorizes an official act by the governing body authorizing those entities to be the official service provider, which is the case now, okay? And what the JIF has said, as I understand it, is that they want that to be done on an annual basis and to provide a roster of those employees and their volunteers so that they know who is covered, who is subject to their insurance, and who they have to be covered, so that there's no question about that should there be some type of claim. No action that you're going to take tonight in adopting these resolutions would do anything that affects the ordinance, again, which we talked about with respect to the fire, and the ordinance with respect to the emergency squad. It would simply memorialize for tonight going forward, these are the individuals, these are the people that are the active participants in those organizations and be providing services, and therefore covered. Should the committee go out and introduce an RFP or otherwise intend to negotiate further their contract or sign their contract that they have with the squad, then nothing here tonight would prevent you from doing that. You would then just notify the JIF if there were changes in the personnel. They're going to at least get this on an annual basis through this procedure. So it doesn't commit you or limit you in your negotiations concerning those contracts going forward.
Okay, well, my next question is this. We've never done these resolutions before. We've never seen copies of rosters before, and I'm glad we finally have. But my question is, at what point, and maybe this is a question for Brian, at what point did the JIF require that we do this?
It's been standard procedures that you pass the ordinance recognizing them so that they'd be insured by the JIF. Every town does the same thing.
So it's been happening before 2018?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's be clear. The mayor is referring to the idea that there are rosters attached. There are lists of names of individuals. That represents something new for this committee, something that has not heretofore been done.
It's never been a requirement of the JIF that a formal roster be presented.
Okay.
But it's still, the members would be covered one way or the other, but you still need to pass the ordinance for it to be official.
So we have to do an ordinance that recognizes the organizations, but we don't have to pass an ordinance that attaches the roster, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. That answers a lot of questions. Thank you.
I mean, how we got this tonight is, I guess, the decision's being made that we're going to provide that clarity and add that to the resolution. So I don't know what the genesis of that is, other than to say that I understood that the JIF was now making that a requirement that these rosters be included.
The genesis of this is the situation that occurred with the CERT team in Elmira, and that it was after discussion actually with Colonel Lowe, NetFood's representative, the JIF representative, and a portion of the executive committee, that this is the direction that we should go in.
So this does two things then.
Some towns have already done this before and included rosters, some towns did not.
It's good that we have the rosters. My point is we spend an awful lot of tax money to get to this point, which we didn't need to, in my opinion. I have no further comments on this resolution.
Okay. Roll call.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get a second. I had the motion made by Kim.
Did you have a second?
You did it.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Okay, motion to appoint municipal improvement search officer for a term ending 12/31/18.
I'd like to nominate LaShawn Barber.
Second?
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to appoint municipal tax search officer for a term ending 12/31/18.
I'd like to nominate Kim Smith.
Second?
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to appoint zoning officer for a term ending 12/31/18.
I'd like to appoint Tom Boyd.
Roll call.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to appoint a Board of Health Secretary for a term ending 12/31/18.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Sean Barber.
Second?
Roll call?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to make the following appointments to the Recreation Committee. Dolores Rubin, term ending 12/31/20, that's a 3-year term. Tim Galvin, term ending 12/31/20, a 3-year term. Kyle Kupperwich, did I say that right?
That's good.
Term ending 12/31/20, 3-year term. Mark Lemire, term ending 12/31/20, 3-year term as the chair. And Lynn Hedden, PA President of the Recreation Committee for 1 year.
I just have a question. These used to be staggered terms. Did we change that?
No. Dolores Rubin, she was up, and there's 2 new individuals on there, which was Galvin and Kyle. So those were added on.
Are they new? Are they new members? So
They're new
they're
members.
new terms then as well?
New members, yeah.
I just think it's odd that everybody's term's up at the same exact time. It shouldn't be.
Yes.
It's usually filling the term that's unexpired or,
And Jennifer Noor, she's the only one, that's the old dates.
So Tim is replacing Jennifer and Kyle's replacing.
so who's replacing Jennifer? Tim?
I don't know.
So if Tim Galvin is, he's doing the unexpired term, which would end 19.
That's right. That's right.
And then Kyle is filling in for whom?
So are there resignations, Ken? Is that what it was? Or?
That's my understanding of what I'm hearing.
It would be a 2-year term.
Right, it'll be 3 years, it's just the balance of the term.
Yeah, the appointee, Kim's right, the appointee would fulfill the term of
The unexpired term.
Right, so you've got 2 vacancies, at least 1 vacancy.
Yeah, it looks like we created another position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, but Mark has 2, Mark is on the committee and the chair, so that makes the 5th position. So we're actually adding another position.
Well, no, you can't count Mr. Lemire twice.
Well, on this piece of paper, Mr.
Yeah.
Lemire is counted twice.
That may
So
be
what
the
I'm
case.
saying to you is we have one additional seat that we're creating.
But you can't create a seat.
expire?
The ordinance speaks
Well-
for itself.
If Dolores would be 20, that's, no, Dolores is 20, because she doesn't even need to be approved, because,
She's already been appointed,
no,
hasn't
so
risen.
the 17, so yes, she's approved. Mark needs to be reapproved. So those 2 are good for 20. So Kyle would be, is there an unexpired one that would end the end of this year? That's the only one that would fit. And then it would be 3 years from this year.
You're counting on that twice.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm
Mark,
saying, both of them are the 17.
right, because the chair's year to year.
Right.
So I would say Kyle would expire at the end of this year, and then next year, it would be a reappointment for 3 years.
But whose term did Kyle fill?
I got nothing. I'm just sorting out the numbers.
Correct.
So Kim, if I have it right, Dolores doesn't need to be reappointed?
Dolores needs to be reappointed, she would expire in 20.
Okay.
Tim Galvin
So
would
her
fill
current
the,
term is expired.
right.
Tim Galvin,
Tim Galvin is replacing
Jennifer?
Jennifer Noor,
whose term expires.
whose term would expire in 19,
Okay, so he's-
December 31st, 19. Then you have Kyle, who I don't know where he fits, but the only thing that logically would make sense would be that it expires at the end of this year.
Is he filling the position of someone else who resigned? Or was there an unfilled seat that he's being
I have a
appointed to?
feeling that there was, somewhere along the line, there was
I'm being
an
told
error.
it's an unfilled seat that he's being.
Correct.
And what you're suggesting is that they modify the resolution to have him a one-year term so that he could be followed by potentially a three-year term.
Correct, because they're all 3-year terms.
Then have the expiration staggered in that way.
That is correct. That way you're not reappointing a whole new board at the same time.
Thank you. Lynn's 1 year as president by virtue
That
of
is
being president.
correct. So I'll make the motion with all those changes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Seconded by Lee. Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you approve?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, mayor's appointments to Land Development Board. I appoint Eric Zimmerman as a Class 1 member, term ending 12/31/18. Doug Kramer as a Class 2 member, term ending 12/31/18. Mark Lemire, Class 4 member, term ending 12/31/21. And Susan Brandt as alternate number 2, term ending 12/31/19.
And does the committee ratify all of that? Is that in accordance with everybody's wishes? And if so, could we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Public comment? Mr. Brooks, please state your name and address, please.
Thank you, Mayor Barton. Stuart Brooks, 78 North Meadow Road. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you.
First, regarding the certification 2018-27, that's the one that recognizes members of the CERT. It, like the resolution recognizing members of the TRS and the fire company, also is ambiguous, and it says it's a one-year term, but the dates stated as 2019. So that suffers the same problem.
It needs to be revisited and amended in 2018, so they mentioned that was an issue that needed to be.
Not for the CERT one, just for the fire and the TRS ones. They're the ones that were caught, the CERT wasn't. Regarding the TRS resolution, it, unlike the fire contract, doesn't require that the roster be updated continuously. So it seems to contemplate that the roster would be out of date as the year goes on and new members might come or go. And having an updated roster is not only just a basic insurance requirement, it's a rational business practice. And you guys should have a roster that's updated regularly, just as your fire company roster is supposed to be. It's an insurance requirement. It should be an EOP requirement. There are 101 reasons why you should have a current roster. And by adopting this, and if you go no further, you're falling into the same, with all due respect, slack management practices that we've seen over the years. I hope that this is the beginning of tightening up of those practices. Next question regarding all the people on those service rosters, actually the ones on the CERT roster, do they all have key fobs to get into the ESP? And are you going to be answering these questions?
Yeah, when you finish, we'll get some
Okay.
answers.
I would appreciate that very much. The other question I have, I think I understand why the insurance requirements for the rosters, but I was struck by the term in the TRS resolution that we recognize those members. At first read, it seemed to me as if this was an honorary recognition, and while I agree that people who provide public service deserve the respect of the people that they serve and who they work with in their community, it was the honorary implication that had me wondering, because at the bottom end of the resolution is a business purpose that seemed to be slipped in, and that was to provide insurance coverage for those people. which is more than honorary, it's a business practice. I was wondering what the cost to the township to providing that insurance coverage is. That is to recognize provide the workers' comp, name the TRS as an insured party of the general liability policy of the township. Last, for each of you, do you still support the policy of putting a fire truck in the ESB? And I would ask each of you, starting from Mr. Lee going down, is that still the current goal or policy that the committee is looking to accomplish? Or have we strayed from that? And that's, I'd like each of you individually to address that, if you would.
Since you want to start with me, that's fine, I'll be happy to do that. At the time that we were building the building, and we were having discussions about the building and the fire truck going into it, the ISO rating was based on as I understand it, with the location of a fire truck to a particular home. I've heard through the grapevine that requirement's changed to whereas the ISO rating is based on the response time. I haven't got that clarified yet. I am working on that. In fact, I have a meeting scheduled next week with someone that is knowledgeable in that particular arena. But as of right now, I'm still in full support of putting a truck in that building. But as I said, I want to clarify the information I've received as of late.
Mr. President, could I ask you the question?
Sure. I think, we made a commitment to do this, and we're still there, but I think we have to, as Stephen just said, relook at this whole issue to make sure that it's something that's really going to work right. But as a general concept, yeah.
Mrs. Brown?
I've always said that there are trucks, you should be able to put one there. I've gone on the record numerous times saying that.
I understand. Thank you for that.
And we all have, for that matter.
But I'm just saying, I haven't changed, so I'd be
No, none of us
different
have.
to say.
Well, I guess I'm asking, one by one, if anyone has changed, because it has been a long time since that happened, and perhaps that's due to a change in thinking, and that's what I'm trying to understand.
Okay, well, that'll be one of our goals of this year, Mr. Brooks, is see if we can complete that goal and get a fire truck in that building. That's a yes on my part.
There is no change.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay. Getting to some of Mr. Brooks' questions, Brian, could you help us out a little bit here? We passed these resolutions recognizing who these members are for insurance purposes. Does the is the JIF interested in knowing when those rosters change or who they're insuring?
It's highly recommended that they keep an updated roster. It's not required.
Okay. So it's in it.
I do have a question, and Mr. Brooks brought it up. I mean, do we have to reopen Resolution 2018-27 and change the date?
If we passed it with 19, I would say yes, but Kim,
You
did
just
you
amended,
catch
I
that?
didn't do that one.
This
You just
is the only
amended
one.
that on the record.
This is the only one we
I
didn't
know,
do. I mean,
slacking,
Mr.
sorry.
Brooks did bring up a very good point. That's the reason why.
Okay, so let's revisit with Sean, Resolution 2018-27, appointing members to the Finance CERT, and the date should be December 31st, 2018. You want a new motion and second on that?
To be a motion to amend.
A motion to amend?
I'll make the motion to amend based on the date change.
And why don't I make the motion to amend and you second it like we did the
Yeah,
beginning?
I was gonna say, it's,
I'll do whatever Kim wants.
A roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mendy.
Also, Brian, Mr. Brooks brought up a matter of cost. Is there a blanket cost, or is it by the number of members that belong to each organization? How does that cost the town?
Workers' comp is calculated on the number of volunteers. The remainder is the property values and the equipment, fire trucks, EMS trucks, etc. I don't want to give you off the top of my head what the breakdown is as far as the cost is concerned, but it's very close between the fire department and the EMS as far as how much it costs the township. I can give you that number tomorrow.
Okay. I appreciate if you could follow up with it. Because I
Sure.
think the concern is, if we have the number of volunteers, if that goes up or down, does that affect our cost?
It does.
So clearly, if the number of volunteers should go down, we need to know that, so we can eliminate those ones from the roster and get the benefit of a reduced rate. And by the same token, if the roster should change and the numbers go up,
Absolutely. That's a one-time snapshot that they take when we do create the rates. Take a one-time snapshot of how many volunteers you have at fire, how much at EMS, and they charge accordingly. At the end of the year, they don't really audit the policies the way a business would, but they would look at large differences in the number of volunteers. So if you had 50 one year and 20 the next, they might make an adjustment.
okay, thanks, Brian. And then, Colonel Lowe, the question of whether the CERT volunteers have key fobs to the EMS building.
Only the CERT team leader does.
Okay, and how many leaders do you have?
One.
So it's you and one leader?
Oh, I have one as the OEM.
Right.
There's one CERT team leader, he has a key fob.
Okay, thank you. I think we answered all your questions, Mr. Brooks.
Oh, it was the TRS membership, do they all have key fobs?
Oh, TRS.
Yes.
Chief, does all your members have key fobs?
For the most part. There's some that probably don't, huh?
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to just interject for a second. We've got a lot of dialogue back and forth, and we're not introducing members of the public that are speaking. That's going to make it difficult for Sean to get able to record who's speaking.
Chief Jackson?
Chief Jackson, Tabernacle Rescue Squad. I have members that don't. I have life members that, may show up once in a great moon, or I have cadet members that don't have access to the building, so not everybody has a key to the building now. It's set by our rules.
Safe to say your active members all have key fobs?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Mrs. Brooks?
Thank you. Good evening, happy New Year, everybody. Fran Brooks, 78 Morris Meadow Road. How many, just quickly, how many active members have key fobs, TRS active members have key fobs? And what is he referring to? How many people actually have key fobs? I mean, I'm sure that's an absolute number, so it'd be good to know, because I know that the Tabernacle Fire Company, they don't have key fobs. They run a truck in the building, but there was that whole incident about getting a truck in the building, and there weren't fobs. So just to keep the action clear here, the context clear, how many key fobs in absolute numbers does the TRS actually have? That would be a useful piece of information. I just wanted to, well, I don't know if all of his active members have key fobs. How many active members is that? How many people are we talking about? That's all I'm asking is how many people are we talking about? I just also wanted to ask if in the bylaws, resolution 2018-1, are you preserving 2 public comments, one on agenda items only and one second public comment for any issue? Because it's not listed here, and I was just wondering if that...
Well, this is a reorganization meeting, Mrs. Brooks, so we really don't have agenda items.
Okay.
We just had a whole list of resolutions that we just went through.
Okay.
But there is this public portion, but in future meetings, there will be a public comment portion.
On
Yes.
agenda items as well. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. I'd like to also speak to the issue of a TRS roster. It seems that it's, whether or not the GIF requires it now, I have to wonder about that. I know that there have been a number of us who've been asking for a TRS roster for the express purpose of that the township know who it's insuring, how many members it's insuring. So from a business practice standpoint, that was a reasonable question to ask, and to ask for the document itself. But the TRS never willingly gave up their roster, and they're on the public record saying they wouldn't give the roster to the township, and for whatever reason, the township never formally demanded the roster. It wasn't until I actually sued the township more recently under Oprah that this roster has suddenly appeared, because the roster that was in the emergency operations plan, and I'll be writing about this so everybody in the public will really understand the dynamics, the aspects of that lawsuit under the Open Public Records Act. Even the emergency operations plan, which is a required document, should have had a current roster, but it had a 2011 TRS roster in it. So I'm glad to see that the roster has finally shown up, and I support Deputy Mayor Lee's comments about it. I hope that in the interest of maybe adopting a resolution for the new year, that there be greater transparency with this township committee and with the residents of Tabernacle, especially in these areas such as the TRS roster. And I really, really hope that you do work assiduously to organize your emergency services so that incidents like this, because I think it's really sad, and I know I'm over my time, but I think it's really sad for the residents of this township that I had to sue this township to get a roster from the TRS. So I hope there are some lessons learned. I hope that I don't have to do things like this in the future, but it should have never happened. It should have never, ever happened. And I feel very badly for the residents of this township.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks.
Yep.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none? Chief Jackson.
Chief George Jackson, Tabernacle Rescue Squad. Just as a reminder, a couple months ago I came to the committee and we paid our fuel bill for 17 and took over the fuel expenses. We also said that in 2018 we would reimburse the township for our GIF expenses. So I just wanted to reiterate that and just put that on the record again, that we fully plan to cut whatever our piece of the GIF money is. We're going to reimburse the township for that whenever, whatever we work out as far as quarterly, bi-yearly, or yearly, or whatever. So,
George, have you paid the balance of the 2017 fuel yet?
we gave you the check for January to September, and then since then we've paid the school directly September, October, November, and we're waiting for our December bill. We haven't received the bill from the school. We pay the school directly.
Do we have record of that?
Yeah.
We do.
Only because I've received the checks and handed them in.
Got it.
So I can
Yeah,
say
no,
yes, it happened.
I usually go to the school after we get the bill and deliver the check either to, I see Mr. Brown, or take it to the office. So we've been paying our fuel bill. And we're going to absorb the cost of our insurance, using the GIF and reimbursing it.
Chief, as you heard Mr. Monahan say, the cost of the GIF is predicated on the membership. So we just passed a resolution with 75 of your members.
Right.
Are they all active members, or is that?
No, that is, the way it was explained to me was that you needed a list of every member.
Okay.
So that's anybody that's a member of our organization because they have the right to be at the station. They might not be an active member that rides on the rig, but if they're in the building doing an administrative thing and they hurt themselves,
Okay.
they're still covered by, so that's everybody.
Okay.
So I didn't leave anybody off because God forbid somebody got hurt, and we didn't have them on the list and they were a long-time member. I didn't want to see that happen.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none? Motion to pay the bills. We do have some bills here, right? Which one?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mayor Barton?
Yes. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
How about we do comments from committee? I haven't heard that.
Yes,
already.
I'm sorry, Nick.
Committee reports. I just wanted to congratulate Mayor Barton on his appointment. Also thank the committee for their confidence in me to continue my leadership role as the deputy mayor. Also want to thank LaShawn, Kim, Natalie, and crew for getting the decorations done and getting the reorg put together. It's not an easy process. Also want to specifically thank LaShawn and Natalie for their work last week in trying to get taxes paid. The amount of folks that walked in this building last week was unprecedented. We had folks that walked in with bags full of cash, literally. And LaShawn and Natalie managed that. So I just wanted to say thank you for that work last week. And also thank Natalie for swearing me in this evening. Literally, as I walked in the door tonight, Natalie's the deputy clerk. She fills a lot of roles here. But thank you for swearing me in this evening. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Amendment Franson?
Thanks to Joe Yates and to Stephen Lee for last year, being the mayor and the deputy mayor. And congratulations to you, Mr. Barton, Mr. Mayor Barton, for a good year in 2018, and the same to Mr. Lee as the deputy mayor.
Committeewoman Brand?
Just want to reiterate what Rick and Stephen said, and wish everyone a happy new year. And let's hope it's a happy year.
Thank you. Alderman Woods?
I'd like to thank the committee for the last 2 years with my appointment as deputy mayor. And like Stephen said, it is an honor to serve. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Barton, Mr. Lee, and Mrs. Brown for their appointments. But other than that, have a happy and safe New Year.
Good. And I too would like to thank Mayor Emeritus Lee and Deputy Mayor Emeritus Yates for the past 2 years of service, and Mr. Franz and Mrs. Brown for their service on this committee. Also, all of our professionals are usually here, and our staff, and there is one staff person that's missing, and that's Tom Boyd, and it's not by accident. Unfortunately, Tom has a serious cold. I was in his office today and suggested that he stay home tonight rather than be here, or he would have been here, so I just looked at him. And the reason he wasn't here, asked him to please keep his germs with him and not share them with any of us. And other than that, I wish you all a great 2018, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.